If you, we're going to move on today. We're not going to spend time working on the project. So if you still need to work on your project, you need to do that on your time. You need to make sure that that is done this week because um, Infinite Campus updates the grades on Friday. So you want to make sure that your grades are up to date. So try to make sure that all the assignments are turned in. What I'm going to do next next week is set up a Nearpod where we can upload the videos of the projects that you've done, and you can look at other people's. Well, I'll do that for Wednesday because Wednesday is the short day. But I will put those up so that you can look at those look at other people's projects next week, and we'll talk about the relationships that you decided that you wanted to look into. All right, we're gonna wait a few minutes. Do I have the right one up? I'm looking at Go Guardian. I tried to fix it so that I had everybody on one page, and it doesn't look that way. Am I not looking at the right one? No, I'm not. Okay. And that whole conversation I just had was for another class. But in any case, if you have any outstanding assignment, they should be turned in. All right, I'm in the right Go Guardian right now. Got everybody. And we are missing one or two people. But. So we started yesterday with the macromolecule chart. So we're going to finish that because I think we just got started doing it and you might not have finished it. So let's pull up your macromolecule chart because in addition to finishing the chart, we're going to fill in at least the row on proteins today. So let me pull mine up and get that shared with you. And as we go through each macromolecule, we'll keep adding information to the chart. And again, at the end, um, we will have a unit exam, but you'll also have to submit you'll be able to use the chart as yours as a study tool or a cheat sheet for the test, but you'll also get a grade for having it completed. So make sure that you're keeping up with that. And again, we created the chart the way we did so that you can fill in spaces and the spaces will adjust um, as needed. Sometimes you need a big box, sometimes you need a little box. There we go. Good afternoon. All right, we are pulling up our macromolecule chart. I'm trying to get mine to pull up. My computer is taking its sweet time. because I believe all we did was get as far as creating the chart. So what we're going to do today is start at least fill in the row for proteins. Why is mine so tiny? Okay, we'll fix that in a minute. Oh, all right, so if you have your chart up, also have Canvas open to macromolecules and proteins. And as soon as my computer decides to cooperate, I will share. All right, there we go. All right, so everybody should have a chart like this. And again, one of the reasons we did it like this is so that as we, okay, why is mine not cooperating as usual? Uh-huh, MM proteins less than this, that's where you should be. And I'm trying to get this, whoa, okay. Oh, that's why I was trying to do something else. All right, well, since it's switched to that page, I'll switch to that page also, and then I'll come back to my computer was doing. So yes, the molecule, the module that you need to be on is macromolecules protein. Okay. I don't know what just happened, but the Zoom totally collapsed. There we go. Share disappeared, everything disappeared. But thank you for staying. All right, we'll try this again. And I think I probably have to restart the video as well. Mm, come on. Not having a good afternoon here. I want to say it's my computer. Trying to get to the module, but I seem to be frozen. There we go. All right. So let's kind of flip back and forth. Maybe now that everything is not frozen, there we go. That's what it was. So you want to make sure that you give room enough. And so again, you can adjust this way so that you can adjust your boxes so that when you type in the box, and actually once you type in the box or try to put things in the boxes, they will move all by themselves. But at the end of the game, you want your, whoops, I don't want it to be on 2 pages, but it might, depending on how big or small you put your. All right, so we're looking at box number 1, function and importance of a protein. So let's go back to our module. And okay, this is the sentence you want to put. Mine won't highlight. You want to put, they are the building blocks of tissues and living things. That's what their function is. Okay, they are the building blocks of tissues and living things. That goes in your first box. And I'm looking at this box on this page. We're going to get our information to fill in the box by looking at that. Distinguishing features, we'll come back to that. The monomer. The monomer, they're telling you, is the amino acid. So that goes in your box under monomer. And you can say there are 20 different kinds of amino acids. All right, let me let this person in. Also, okay. All right, so the first box, you're gonna write, yeah, I'm looking at this blue box here. The second line in the blue box says, they are the structural blocks for tissues. In other words, all the tissues in your body and most living things are made of proteins. So they are the structural building blocks for tissues and living things. That's its function. And you're going to skip a box for a minute and go to the box for monomers and write down that amino acids are what you call the monomers. That means, and we learned yesterday watching the video. Did we watch the video yesterday? I have 2 classes, so I'm going to make sure I watched it with you all. Did we watch a video yesterday? No? Okay. I'm going to stop right after this and show the video. But anyway, write down that there are 20 different kinds of amino acids. And then you have a box that says, all right, we're going to hold off on that. I'm going to hold off on, so just leave your chart right there where you can add to it, and I'm going to show the video because the video actually had. We are good afternoon. Nice of you to join us. We are completing we're starting to fill in our macromolecule chart that we started yesterday. We're on the first row for proteins. So we have defined its function, and we have looked at the monomer is called an amino acid. That's all we've done so far. All right, and you all did not get to watch the video, so give me 1 second to do that. Let me see if I can do that from your homepage now that I've set it up. All right, just to give you, oh, actually, let me check on something else since my Zoom failed. Okay, it's still streaming, so we're good. All right, so if you go to class videos, I believe we can find this video there. All right, so that's the first video. And yes, there it is. Okay.
Hi everyone, so today we're going to talk about biological
Oh,
Hi everyone, so today we're going to talk about biological macromolecules. So let's get started. So what are biological macromolecules? These are large molecules that are essential to life and they are part of our bodies. This is how we function. These are the biggest or most important molecules we use to function within our bodies.
all
And
right.
they are made up of
I'm
all
going to
made up
pause it when I need you to write something down. In general, you need to know the definition of a macromolecule, but not for your chart. Okay, you need to know what a macromolecule is and that they are macro meaning it's large and that they're made of all of the atoms. So atoms join together to make a molecule. But the things that we're looking at, the lipids, the nucleic acids, the carbohydrates, and proteins are made up of a lot of molecules, which is why we call it a macromolecule. So I'll pause it when we get to, she's going to go through each individual on proteins and carbohydrates and such, and I'll pause it when I tell you what to write in your on your chart. Okay?
of smaller units, and we call these smaller units or components monomers. And there are four main types that we talk about. Those are lipids or fats, nucleic acids, carbohydrates, and proteins. So let's talk about each individually. And before that, let's kind of dive deeper into what monomers and polymers are to understand them better. So monomers are the single building blocks that make up all those biological macromolecules you see here. And these blocks start to repeat and chain together to form what we call a polymer chain. And these chains can become more and more complex to form these biological macromolecules in the previous slide. So those chains, those monomers, the single building blocks, normally get linked by something we call dehydration synthesis. Dehydration meaning we're losing water. So if you lose water, which is H2O, two hydrogens and an oxygen, then two of these compounds can bond together and forming these chains, the polymer chains. But these bonds of monomers can also be broken down by adding water, which we call hydrolysis. So if we add that H2O back in, then it can actually break apart the molecule as well. So they can bond together by removing a water molecule, or they can break apart by adding a water molecule. So let's talk about what carbohydrates are. Carbohydrates are made up of monomers as well. These are single repeating building blocks, and the monomer
I'm
for
gonna pause it here. She starts with carbohydrates. We'll come back to that. Actually, see if you have your chart set up so that you can do it in the order that she's doing it. Canvas is doing it in a different order, but she starts with carbohydrates. So let's go ahead and do it in the order that she's doing it, so we don't have to go backwards. Or what I also could do, because this is not a very long video, I'm going to let the video play all the way through, and then I'll come back and we'll fill it in. I'll pause it to where we need to go. So she's going to actually give you, again, the monomer, the polymer, and exactly what the object does. So just watch it. I'll pause it later.
carbohydrates is called monosaccharides or simple sugars. And this is what a monosaccharide looks like. An example is glucose. And this glucose, this can be fructose as well, bonds together and forms chains called polymers. In this case, it's called polysaccharide. An example would be starch. And these polymers become more and more complex to for create essential functions within life, such as polysaccharides can become more complex and be part of starch grains in chloroplasts, as you can see here. Um, so, what about lipids? Lipids are essential for long term energy storage, but they're honestly not true polymers, meaning they are made up of repeating monomers, such as these fatty acids, to create chains called polymers. But the monomers are not exactly repeating because we have different types of monomers, different types of of those essential building blocks that can form those chains. So it's not a fully repetitive thing. It can change up a little bit because there's different types of the basic component. But this can form or include fats, oils, phospholipids, and steroids. And what's interesting about lipids is that in its basic function as a monomer, the basic component, it has a hydrophobic component and a hydrophilic component, meaning some parts of it is likes water, hydrophilic, and some parts of it hates water or is repelled from water, which is hydrophobic. So for example, we actually use these lipids to store energy, to insulate, and even build cell membranes. So if this is our cell, the outer layer is the cell membrane, and you can see that the hydrophilic heads, meaning they love water, are on the outside and inside of the membrane, while the middle of it has the hydrophobic tails, meaning they hate water. And this actually helps us regulate what goes inside and outside of our cell, which is very helpful. Proteins are called the workhorses of the cell. They are functional for so many things in our bodies, such as enzyme and movement and the structure of the muscles and our different parts of our body, and even transporting different materials within our body. And the basic component or monomer that's repeating in the proteins is called an amino acid, which are these like beads looking thingies, and they combine to form polymers. But these polymers can become more and more complex. You can see the structure of these polymers as they attach can become so complex and form different types of shapes, which are essential for different types of functions, as we've spoken about, such as enzymes and such. So, what about nucleic acids? Nucleic acids are important for information storage. This helps us make DNA even. So, the monomer or the basic component of nucleic acids are called a nucleotide, and it looks like this. It has a phosphate group, which is phosphorus and oxygen. It has a sugar component, and it has a nitrogenous base. So, this is a basic component, and it's supposed to repeat, right? And it makes things like DNA and RNA. What's interesting is this nitrogenous base can look different. So a nucleotide, this part over here can look like this. We call this the C, T, G, and A. And when we're forming DNA, the phosphate and sugar part is like the backbone, and the nitrogenous base that can differ kind of attaches to each other. So an A can attach to a T, or a G can attach to a C, and this is how we start to form this DNA helix shape. This is what our DNA looks like. So you can see how nucleic acids are so helpful, are so essential for life to even exist. And so to summarize, we talked about 4 macromolecules. They are carbs, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids.
All right, I'm going to stop it there because that's basically what we're trying to do. So we're trying to create a chart similar to this. After we put in information, I'm going to give you time to go and add pictures similar to the way they have it here. So let's go back. Let me see if I can't just, since you have proteins first on your chart, let's look at the proteins. All right. So we've started with the proteins. So we have the function. So you already wrote down that it's necessary for tissues. You can add in here that it functions to make enzymes. It's good for movement, structure, and transport. So add that information to your chart.
What are we adding?
Down here to the bottom, you had the first thing you had on first box on your chart is function. And we've already added a sentence from Canvas as to what the function is. Add this to that it also functions to make enzymes. It's needed for movement, for your tissues. Your muscles are made of proteins, structure, and transport. So we're going to talk about the transport molecules are made of proteins. You already should have on your chart under the column of monomer, coming back up to the top here, that the monomer is called an amino acid. You have a box that has special features that says you can put folds into complex shapes in that I think that's your second box. So your third box is monomers. Your fourth box is polymers. So you can write down, it makes down here in the picture, polypeptide chains. Polypeptide chains. Okay, that means they form long things. And another word for protein is a peptide. So they make long protein chains or polypeptide chains. Okay, and then I'm going to let you go back when we go back to the Canvas to fill in the last column for examples. Okay. All right. Your next box is carbohydrates. So let's come back here and look at carbohydrates. All right. Carbohydrates in the middle are their function is the middle button here. Quick energy and structural support. So carbohydrates, that's their job, is to give you energy. Examples of carbohydrates. So this can go in your last column. Examples of carbohydrate are glucose, starch, and cellulose. And then in your box that says monomers, you put monosaccharide. And in your box that says polymers, you put polysaccharide. Yes, we're under proteins. We're just, right? Oh, now we're under carbohydrates. So now we're on carbohydrates. So again, in the first box, you should have energy and structure. That's its function. Examples of carbohydrates, that goes in your last column, is glucose, starch, and cellulose. And we'll talk more about those later. And if you look at the chart, the picture, it shows you that the monomer is a monosaccharide, meaning that if you break down a carbohydrate into its smallest unit and it's still a carbohydrate, then it would be a monosaccharide. Distinguishing features, we're going to come back to that because I'm going to have you actually put pictures in that box. So its shape is what makes it distinguishing. And when we come back to Canvas, they have stuff like that in Canvas. Okay, actually, did she do that? No, she didn't. No, she did not. All right. So we're going to look at the shapes of the molecules. Like I said, I'm going to have you copy and paste pictures into the boxes so that your chart kind of looks like the one she had at the end. So that will be the distinguishing features, what they look like. All of these molecules have a different shape. So that's what distinguishes one from another. All right, so you should right now, you should have proteins, you should have structure and function, and you should have function, monomers, polymers, and possibly examples. All right, the next one was lipids on your chart. Okay. All right, so, and then they kind of do this backwards. So their function is to store energy. So lipids do energy as well as carbohydrates, but they also insulate the body and they build membranes. So that's its function. That's what's the last button on the page here. Last bullet on the page. Again, we're on lipids. Lipids, this goes in your lipid row. All right. Again, we'll come back to distinguishing features. You can write down the hydrophobic and hydrophilic parts, but again, we're going to put pictures in for that. Okay. In your monomer column, you have a fatty acid. And even though it says no true polymers, the polymer is called a triglyceride. So you do need to know that. Okay. A monomer is a fatty acid. And a triglyceride is three fatty acids linked together. So if you see there's three rows in a triglyceride, that's the tri part. A glyceride is another term for fats. Okay, so your monomer is a fatty acid, your polymer is a triglyceride. I'm getting that from the picture. All right, in your column, examples would be fats, oils, phospholipids, and steroids. And again, in that special features column, you could put hydrophobic and um, hydrophilic parts, and we're going to add a picture to that too. We're going to add a lot of pictures to this particular one because I want you to show what a fatty acid looks like and a triglyceride. So I want you to have that. All right, am I going too fast? Is everybody with me? The function is the last bullet. Yes, stores energy, insulates, and builds membranes. That is the function. Question? Sounded like somebody was about to come off mic. The example is the second bullet, fats, oils, phospholipids, and steroids. Distinguishing features are hydrophobic and hydrophilic. And like I said, I'm going to have you add pictures to that. But if you look at this diagram, the molecules, it forms these little, it forms a molecule called a phospholipid, and it has a top part and a bottom part. So the top part is round, and the bottom part looks like the legs. Hydrophobic means that there's an end of it that doesn't like water, and hydrophilic means it's the end of it that does like water. Okay. The other distinguishing feature is it's found in cell membranes. Our cell membranes make up a biphospholipid layer. So that can go under distinguishing features as well. But again, I'm going to have you add a picture to it. All right, everybody good? There's not a video on how to do the chart, but I can go back when we finish this, I'll go back. Let me shrink this for a minute. All right, because actually I'm in the classroom. All right, so, and I did that to show you that the video is in your playlist. And I don't know why mine keeps reverting back to these little lines. All right, so you should be filling this chart in, and so far we've done proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids. You should have the function, distinguishing features, and hopefully your boxes move. So as you type, your boxes will adjust to whatever it is you're putting in there. We're going to stick some pictures in here as well, so that'll make the boxes a little bigger, and it might even cause yours to become a two-page document instead of a one-page document. But this is what you should be filling in as we go along. Okay, now when we go back to Canvas, we'll fill in any extra things that we didn't see in the video. Okay, did that answer your question, Jayla? The video was a little in a different order than the chart that we made, but that's okay. We fill it in as, oh my goodness. We fill it in as wherever it needs to go. Jayla, we good? Anybody else have any questions before we do nucleotides? No, sorry, not nucleic acids. Okay. All right. Coming back to the video. Okay. All right. So we have everybody has everything you need for lipids, nucleic acids. All right. So this should be our last row. The third bullet is its function is to store and transfer genetic information. So the bullets are not in order of the way your chart is. So just want to make sure that we put things in the right place. Function, store and transfer genetic information. The video that I'm getting this from is on your playlist. So it is a YouTube yes, it's on your YouTube playlist. So that's where you'll find it. That's where I'm looking at it from. Because like I said, if I close this down, I went to your Canvas page and I clicked on playlist, and that's where I'm looking at this from. Okay, so it's there. It is saved for you, as well as this lesson. When I finish recording it, I will save it to the playlist. So the lesson will be, we are recording, so it'll be saved to the playlist as well, so you can play it back. All right. So where are we? We want special features. It is made up of the nucleotides are called A, T, G, and C, but we want to get those names. So look over here on the chart. So you can write bases A, T, G, and C, but we want to give them names. And later on when we do genetics, you'll have to know the names. But over here, A stands for adenine, T stands for thymine, G is for guanine, and C is for cytosine. So write those words out. Under distinguishing features, there's two different kinds. There's DNA and RNA. So we call it nucleic acids, but there's two different kinds, DNA and RNA. Our monomer is at the top of the list. It is a nucleotide. And we already put in our distinguishing features that there are 4 different kinds of nucleotides. And those are and we named them. So the basic unit is a nucleotide. And I guess for polymer, we can say that they join to make long chain structures or a spiral helix. So this spiral helix picture, technically there's not a polymer, but they join together to make long chains. And we call this a double helix DNA or RNA. Well, actually RNA is single stranded. Okay. What the difference between DNA and RNA is the sugar. So we'll talk about those later. Right now, you just need to know that there are 4 macromolecules. But later on, when we talk about genetics specifically, you will have to know that they have 2 different sugars, which is why they have 2 different names. And DNA is not found in food. It is found in the nucleus of all cells. There's no food that you're going to find this in. This is your genetic material. Okay, and like I said, when we do genetics, we'll get into this in detail. But this is one of the macromolecules. And I think you should have another. It's not on this chart, but I think we need to add water to the chart as well. But we'll get to that in a minute. Add another row. And that's easy to do, and I'll show you how to do that. All right. So what I want you to do, everybody good with this? What I want you to do is something similar to what they have here. I want you to add a picture to your boxes. So under structure, I want you to get a picture of the monomer. So don't put it under structure, put it under the monomer. Get a picture of the monomer for a carbohydrate. So you want a saccharide molecule. You want, which is what they call the function, on this picture, they're calling it a functional unit. Okay, so in this picture, the functional unit is the one that looks like a, what do you call it? Hexagon. It's got 6 sides, so it's a hexagon. So you want that picture in your box for the monosaccharide. You want the picture above it in the box for a polysaccharide. Okay, so you want to go to Google and copy and paste and put a picture in your box. All right, for lipids, you want a picture of a phospholipid, and that's not the picture I want you to have for, let me find a nice picture. But okay, these are good for the other ones. So you had a polypeptide chain, you can have that one that looks all squiggly, and then you can have a single amino acid. And I think we can do this from, hold on, let's go back to Canvas and get the pictures. How you want those pictures. I want you to add a picture. So for proteins, let's start with proteins, and I'm back in Canvas. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, they don't have really great pictures there. All right, so let's look one up. So I'm going to if I spell it right, I can get it right. Okay, let's see. Trying to get one that is simple for you. Tell you what you can do. I like this one. All right. See if you can find this picture. And let's copy and paste that onto your chart. So you see if I can do that. So all I did was go to images for proteins, and I picked this one. And this one is excellent because it has all of the pictures that you need. And so then if I put this on my chart, I probably have to resize it and everything, but okie dokie, come on. Just search the name. So, and actually, like I said, I like the picture that I just found because you can do the monomer and then do the polysaccharide. But if you get the picture that I just found, it has both, and then you don't have to separate it. But feel free to do it how you want to do it. Okay, so okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to shrink it and then drag it to the box so that it doesn't take up my whole page. Okay, paste. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. See, that's what I was afraid it was going to do. It's going to be a big giant picture. So then I'm going to shrink it. That might not be the greatest thing. And if I put that under right there, come on. It's working on it. It's thinking about it. Yes, I am. Okay, there it is. My computer's. All right, so that's what you kind of thing that you want to do. You want your picture to be in the box. And so what I did, oh gosh, why did it reverse? My computer is doing its own thing today. Yes, the video will be there when I can't load the video until we're finished. So yes, it will be. Why is it doing that? Try it again. There. Now stay. All right. Hopefully you won't have as much trouble as I did. So you should have all your information about proteins down pat, and then you can put that picture. You can put, yes, I can put it in the chat. I guess I could do that, couldn't I? So let me do this for everybody. Paste. And there we go. That's a good idea. All right, there you go. So the picture I just put on my chart is in the chat.
Do we have to find pictures for every single column?
Yes. So no, right now, this picture that I just gave you satisfies polymer and monomer. Monomer and polymer because it has everything in it. Okay. So now I'm going to go to carbohydrates and I'm going to do the same thing for carbohydrates. I'm going to go to thingy up here and I'm going to search out carbohydrates and maybe that's what we will do is whatever I find, I will post it in the carbohydrates. I'll post it in the chat and then you'll have the one that I think is acceptable. Okay. And this one we want to say structure.
The thing is, it's not in chat.
How about that? You don't see it? Oh, it went to one person. And I think I selected everybody. Why did it go to one person? Glad you said that before. All right, hold on. All right, it says everybody now. Do you see it?
Yes, ma'am, I see it.
All right, good. I'm glad you said that because I thought I sent it to everybody and I was about to copy and paste a different one and I would have lost it. All right, so let me find one that is similar to that picture so that we have both a monomer and a poly. We want a saccharide and a polysaccharide. Let's see. Okay, kind of like this one. Or I tell you what, we're going to do this one this separately because I like this better and this is clearer. So we're going to put this one under monosaccharides. And let me put that on my chart as well before I lose it. So put that one under monosaccharides. And I'm going to put mine, I'll fix my chart later because I know the picture's going to come up big and I'll adjust it later. All right, and then I want you to put this one under polysaccharides. How about that? Okay. All right, so everybody's got that, monosaccharides and polysaccharides. That's the picture you should have in each of your columns. Let me add that to my chart. So while you're doing that, I'll fix these. Okay, and let me. So like I said, the first one had both your polysaccharides, I mean your peptide and your polypeptide. So you didn't need multiple pictures for that one. But we are, all right, so your chart should look something like that. Except you all have writing in it as well, but we're adding the pictures to the boxes. Okay, what time is it? Okay, we got time for lipids. So let's go find a lipid structure we like. Now this one, we're going to have two different pictures as well. Come on. Because I'm gonna do a trying to find one that I really like. Okay, because you should have fatty acids for one. Let me type that in and see what I get. We're gonna come back to that. All right, we'll keep that one. This is good. All right, so let's put this one under your monomer for fatty acids. And then we're going to have a triglyceride go in the polymer. So, stammer. Okay. And then I want a okay, like this one. All right, because the thing with the triglycerides, you want to show that it is made up of 3 fatty acids linked together with this backbone. So that's what you want to make sure that we see for our polymer. And I think we're going to have to do nucleic acids next class. Okay, hold on. Let me paste it first. Why? Okay. Nope. Can't be bigger than the box. All right, now what you can do if you need more room, so like how I wanted to make that a little bigger, I can make the box bigger. Okay, because we don't need that much room for food and examples. Okay. All right. So according to my time, we got like 2 minutes left to class. So we will do nucleic acids next time, but y'all get the general idea. Okay. So you have some writing in your boxes, but now we're adding pictures to it. So we will finish nucleic acids. And for nucleic acids, we're going to have DNA and RNA. We're going to have what the nucleotide looks like. So there's a lot of pictures that's going to, we might have to put those under distinguishing features. Okay. All right. All right, everybody with us? Everybody good? Everybody saved all the pictures that are in the chat? All right. Hang on 1 minute because I did not do attendance, so don't go nowhere. Let me make sure I got everybody because everybody is not here. So give me 1 second. Okay. Alrighty. So I think it's just Charlie and Lourdes. Okay. All right, folks. Because I believe the other person was here. They just logged off early. Okay. So if you have no questions for me, as soon as I log off, I will make sure that this video is on your playlist and you can watch it back. Okay. So we'll finish up the chart next class. All right. Y'all have a great weekend. See you next week.